Indian parallel cinema movement was a movement in which the films were different from the conventions of popular mainstream cinema. These films focused on the problems in the society of its socio-political condition. This gave the audience something more than meaningless entertainment. It showed realism of the society, the world. It had an impact on the society by making them realize the happenings, problems around the world. It heavily borrowed from the Indian literature and has thus become an important study of contemporary Indian society. The films mostly used close up shots and lengthy shots, musical score, rural settings, toned down color palette, and had a formalist approach to composition and had experimental editing patterns. It had its roots in 1925 by the film Saukari Pash by Baburao Painter. This film was about a poor peasant who loses his land to a greedy moneylender and is forced to migrate to the city to become a mill worker. And Dunya Na Mane in 1937 by V. Shantaram. This film showed the treatment of women in Indian society. The Indian parallel cinema movement was originated in West Bengal by directors like Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Sen, Tapan Sinha, Ritvik Ghatak. Other filmmakers like Adur Gopal Krishnan from Malayalam cinema, Girish Kasarwali, Kannada cinema, K.N.T. Sastri, Telugu cinema, Khawja Ahmad Abbas, Buddha Dev Das Gupta, Chetan Anand, Guru Dutt and V. Shantaram and many more contributed in the movement with their films. These are the pioneers of Indian parallel cinema. It gained momentum in 1940s to 1960s. This period was considered part of the golden age of Indian cinema. A 1953 film Do Biga Zameen by Bimal Roy is a good example. A film which focuses on a poor farmer's life who fails to repay his debts. A zamindar threatens to seize the land owned by his family. The farmer then works as a rickshaw puller in Kolkata to earn money. This kid does boot polish work and his wife works at a construction site. This film shows how they work so hard just to pay the loan money and get their land back from the zamindar, who exploits poor farmers by giving them loans and adding interest to it, so that they are not able to return back the amount easily, and the zamindar can hence take their land. Second example is the 1973 film Devita by Money Call, in which a story in a feudal society of Rajasthan is shown. When a newly married merchant's son goes away for business for some years, a ghost comes in his house and takes his place. The ghost takes advantage of the loneliness of his wife and they fall in love. The merchant's son comes back later and now it is hard to find who the real son is. Human traits like greed, selfishness are shown very well in this film. Humans' greed often leads to many problems, and how the selfishness of the father and his wife and the ghost lead to the problem is shown in the film. Another example is the 1977 film Bhumika by Shyam Benegal. The protagonist Usha ends up becoming alone in a culture where relationships are evaluated from the man's point of view when a woman chooses to mold the norm. His protagonist Usha finds herself stuck in unequal relationships trying to figure out who she is and what she is, only to be told at the end, beds alter, men don't. And when she realizes this, she decides to stay alone and fight her loneliness and live in peace with herself. The movement started to fade away after 1992, but it never ended completely. We can still see it in some films due to its impact.